Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who understands three-dimensional fighting. It's Niall Moore.
Hey, how you doing, Mark?
I love this movie, Niall. I've never watched this before. You suggested the Star Trek series. I had never watched Star Trek the motion picture, and now here we are with Wrath of Khan. This is a fun adventure.
Wrath of Khan is possibly the best of at least the original series crew movies. And it's one of the ones that will feed into the trope of even numbered Star Trek movies are better than odd numbered Star Trek movies. This is the one that started it all, which is great. I guess the tagline could be, in space, no one can hear you scream unless you scream, Khan!
But that like yelling is earned because
It is.
Khan's just listen. I know Kirk dumped him on that planet. I know a planet got destroyed his environment. A lot of his people died by horrible ear eels, and his wife died, who we meet on Space Seed, presumably. And he's just pissed. He's Captain Ahab. He is driven for revenge. He doesn't even need to. The one guy's like, "Hey, man, we got a spaceship. Like, we're powerful. We can just go wherever we want." He's like, "No, I'm Captain Ahab."
That man was talking sense.
Yeah,
he was like
the whole time.
Like the whole plot of Space Seed was Khan trying to take over the Enterprise, so he has a ship and can go and find a place to be overlord of. And a few years on a planet that's been through better times turned him into a vengeance mad, vendetta hunting Ahab.
Who just he keeps getting tricked. You know what I love too is it speaks wonders about Niall. You're a super soldier. You could obliterate me. You're smarter than me. You're stronger than me, but you're just driven by hatred. And even though you're stronger and smarter than me and better equipped, I can still pull something over on you because you've just driven yourself mad with anger and revenge. So it's like,
well, it's not just that. The other key thing is experience.
Yeah, three-dimensional fighting.
Well, not just that, but having experience of how starships work, for example. It's important to remember that Khan is a man out of time who was he was frozen in the 90s and was found adrift in space, tried to take over the Enterprise. Kirk marooned him on this planet, which he took very well, actually. He was like, okay, this is a fine compromise. I get my own planet and I could do what I want. And everything seemed fine. And it was a great stroke from the writers to bring back that Khan thread, because it gave this movie something that was lacking in the first Star Trek movie. It gave it a real sense of personal stake versus what we had in the first one, where there was this big giant cloud that looked pretty and very science fiction-y. Oh, look at this. This is cool. It was actually a probe we sent from Earth. Yay. Versus this, where this guy has a grudge against Kirk, and they really lean into it, and how his interactions with Kirk, McCoy, and Spock figure into the grander scheme of things.
The Trinity. They're back
together. That's what they call it.
You know what I love is I teach a producing class right now, and I think this is like a really great example for students to look at between the pivot between 1 and 2. So 1, you have this A-list director, directed West Side Story. You have fancy outfits. You lose a lot of the sci-fi mumbo jumbo. You just go straight for the looks. It looks gorgeous, but it doesn't understand what people love about Star Trek. So then they pivot. They bring in a TV producer, like they bring in Hav Bennett, and then like the guy does TV, and they're like, "Hey man, can you make this movie for less than 44 million?" He's like, "Yeah, I could have made like 8 movies for 45 million." So they have an $8 million budget. They go through some scripts. Bennett watches all the Star Trek things, finds the Space Seed episode. Yeah, let's do that. They do some rewrites. They get everyone back. They bring Nimoy back because he gets a death scene. Nicholas Meyer comes in, rewrites everything for free. They like what they see. They give him a $12 million budget. And while watching that 2-hour documentary on YouTube that you and I were talking about, they use a lot of words like recycle, reuse, make do, improvise, use old sets, few sets, reusable sets, dress sets, the same sets differently. Like these people really made a great job. Like the sets don't even look great. You can see the doors, you can see that, but that's what Star Trek is. And
Well,
instead of
70, what was it? 70 odd percent of the film was shot on one set,
yeah,
just dressed in different ways. They reused the bridge set for both the Enterprise and the Reliant, just dressed slightly differently, which is crazy. But it makes sense for two ships from the same fleet to have very, very similar bridges.
so smart. Like this, what I love about TV crews is I think they know how to make, like, some of these shows churn out 24 episodes a season back then. So they know how to make things happen quick. They had, I love what Nimoy said. Nimoy loves this movie because he's like, yeah, we went into this with filming with a complete script that had a beginning, middle, and end.
Well,
And
they shot the entire storyboard. They actually
yeah,
storyboarded the entire thing. So they were able to show the actors, this is the storyboard. The only other film I can think of that has done that, that I know a good bit about, is The Matrix, where they had everything completely storyboarded from start to finish, and they were almost able to shoot the storyboard and show it and be like, this is what's going to happen,
and that's what
which
they
must be
had to
great
do,
as an
right?
actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like and to keep the budget down, like Matrix didn't have a crazy budget because they had everything planned out and everyone followed them. And then this one, and Mad Max Fury Road had a boatload of storyboards as well, which is kind of crazy. And that movie turned out great. But yeah, I love it. Like they showed there when they were test screening this, they just put in footage of the storyboards, and everyone's like, "Oh, that looks great." Like they didn't even add previs in. It's just a cool thing, like how ILM, like they brought in people to make the giant eels and then a large ear, and they like made fake Q-tips. And I know we're supposed to be talking about the movie, but I just find this endlessly fascinating. The pivot, like this is they scaled everything back and they went, what is important? The characters. Okay, what else do we need? V'ger was not a good villain. Let's get a good villain. Let's bring in Ricardo Montalban and his pecs. Let's write a good villain who Star Wars fans are already familiar with and new people will like. Let's make him Ahab wanting revenge because we already have the story written in. It's such a brilliant pivot. Like I love ingenuity like this in filmmaking.
Yeah, the way they've set it up, like you said, reusing as much as they could and being able to do it for so cheap. And the entire aesthetic changed between movies. We went from this futuristic jumpsuit look to this now iconic kind of red jacket kind of thing, which they end up using for the next 5 movies, 6 movies, whatever, as this is the uniform.
And the costumes are great too. Remember when the costume designer was talking during that documentary? So the costume designer Robert Fletcher, Montalban was talking about playing Khan, and Montalban loved his outfit. And he said when he takes off his helmet, he couldn't do it clumsily. He had to do it elegantly. So it took a lot more work because everything Khan does is elegant. And that you can only do that in a movie. Ricardo Montalban can only do that in a movie that is planned out, that has a good script, that is locked, that has a lot of storyboards, has a lot of TV, and just people knowing what they're doing to get this done on time. So like everyone knew what they were doing, and that allowed the actors to really shine. Like Shatner, Nimoy, like he was more human than all of us. Like that gave, like this movie is driven by character work, and that was only possible because it sounds dumb, but because it had a completed script. Remember the first one? They didn't have a script, and so they were focusing on day to day on just how to get by, and how to shoot,
Yeah,
and
they
what to
they were
do.
focusing on how to make something that might work versus this, which was very, very well planned. It's
Yeah.
you could set this movie just on a couple of submarines and you could have the exact same movie, basically. Instead of it being a
Whoa.
deserted planet, Khan is on a deserted island where he's been marooned by Captain Kirk. And then this other submarine comes along to scout the island, and Khan takes it, and then he goes hunting for Kirk. And you don't even
Wow.
need to change the battle scenes. It's all about being circling each other and adjusting your depth and firing torpedoes.
And
One
solving
ping,
problems.
Vasily.
Yeah, one thing visually. Like, I love when they take his shields down manually. They take him into the nebula. They know how to trick it. And you know what's interesting? Do you think that's why critics and audiences love this movie so much? Because it could be on a submarine, it could be on dune buggies, it could be on anything. Probably like it could be. Uh, it's a universal plot. With V'ger.
I don't think you need to know anything about Star Trek to enjoy this film.
Because you know the plot already, the revenge plot.
Because as soon as you're introduced to Khan, you know he's the bad guy, and his motivations are pretty clear straight away. That is like, right, he wants to go after Kirk, and you're like, okay, we've seen Kirk, he's this guy, great. And then they up the stakes by having his ex-girlfriend and his illegitimate son involved as well.
This movie, this movie packs in a lot. Chekhov gets an earworm. A captain kills himself. He finds out that he has a son. You have Kirstie Alley, who fits in quite well here.
I think this was her debut.
Yeah, she was really good in it. Like Shatner's feeling old, then he feels young, and Spock sacrifices himself, or does he? And McCoy lectures Kirk about staying young, and then you have the revenge angle. Then you even have Khan's crew, who you kind of like. I mean, even though they slaughtered everyone in the bases and they just murdered people. But yeah, this movie balances a lot. But I think when you have a very easily identifiable plot line, you can introduce a decent amount of characters because you know where it's going. You know there's going to be twists and turns. Like, and also like the ship. Oh, both our ships are damaged. We have to repair them. Oh, we have to trick him. Let's take him into this. Like, it's like in the movies when they're like, oh, two boats. Oh, let's take them into the fog, and then so they can't see us in there. And so like they made all these very smart decisions to make it really easy to follow, and then you add in a bunch of characters, and also they toss an entire plot line about death and facing death and what the Kobayashi
and
Maru
the unwinnable scenario.
Yeah, this movie juggles a lot, but it does it gracefully because it's simple. The plot is simple. V'ger was not simple.
That comes from Nicholas Meyer, being a huge fan of the Horatio Hornblower series, which was a naval kind of thing. And that's why it seems like it's a simple plot that could be written with a couple of ships circling around the Caribbean, is because the inspiration was drawn from that. It wasn't about grand sci-fi concepts. You've got the Genesis device, which is the MacGuffin. That's kind of, okay, this is a thing that somebody might want to protect, and we need to keep that out of the bad guy's hands. But it's just a device to get people into confrontation.
Mm-hmm.
But what you end up with is a fairly simple story that doesn't rely on any high sci-fi concepts, where it's not some probe has gone across the universe and is looking for its home, or as we'll get to later, some probe is interested in some whales.
Yeah. And also too, like Nicholas Meyer was really smart by just, you're right, he brought up Horatio Hornblower a lot, and he also talked to Shatner about the role. And didn't he say, you'll be like Cary Grant, like I want you to age like Cary Grant did. And since Shatner loved him so much, like he respected him so much, he was like, yeah, actually that makes sense. So like I feel like all the right things were said to all that. Like even halfway through, Spock's like, yeah, I die in this one, but I kind of want to come back. Or Leonard Nimoy. Like this seemed like a very serendipitous shoot. And that's also another thing to respect about this film too, is whenever you hear about easy film shoots, I always get a little worried because the movie isn't that great. But I think this wasn't easy because the budget was 8 million and then ballooned to 12. That can't make it easy. But it just seemed like it just seems what happens when you just go back to basics and you think about what works. Man, and also Montalban's so good in this. Like I think he just elevates the movie.
And part of that is him knowing the character. And he even said in interviews, it took him a little while. He had to go back and watch a tape of the original episode to get himself in that headspace of who Khan was, because he'd been on some TV show, I can't remember which one, for years, and it was a much more emotive kind of role where he's more exaggerated, less controlled, a little bit kind of more exaggerated, whereas Khan is always very much in control.
Oh, and he keeps just getting annoyed by Kirk. This is just not good at that.
I want you to know it is I that has beaten you.
Khan. And you know what's interesting? It's smart to make a character wildly powerful and wildly smart, but then when you place him out of time, there is a disadvantage there.
Yeah,
So
for
it
sure.
does it's I love the I love this movie. I really do. And I think it succeeds. I think where most fantasy and science fiction films become blockbusters is when they kind of adopt this strategy. So I think New Hope, Star Wars A New Hope, there's a lot of talk about force and everything, but it's a classic hero's journey. Like it's very easily identifiable. Mad Max Fury Road. That's like I know there's other ones as well, but it's
Yeah,
very
Star
easy.
Wars, I did a screenwriting class, and that was the example they used as the hero's journey. It's archetypical.
Lion King, hero's journey. But if you look at the other successful science fiction films, like I'm not saying Inception is science fiction, but it's just a heist movie. They're trying to implant an idea into someone's head. I did some math and I learned that 59.1% of Inception is just like, the dialogue is spent explaining stuff to people, but it's very easy to follow. And so I think, like Stargate, they land on a planet, got to battle a guy. I think when science fiction films can cross over, or fantasy films can cross over to the mainstream, is when they follow the play, like a playbook of tried and true. So then people who are like, I don't like dorky sci-fi movies, go watch it and they're like, oh, I can roll with this because this is easy to follow. This is so I think that's where Khan went right. Like you said, it could be on a boat, it could be on a submarine, it could be on anything. And you would understand the plot. It's just I'm gonna say it again, Niall. I just love it. I think it's smart on every facet. And I just love it. I love the stories about this. They're like, how do we kill off Spock? Like, how do we send him away? And the guy's like, well, I guess we could build a photon torpedo and shoot him around the sun. And they're like, yeah, let's do that. He's like, great. So then he had to build a photon torpedo and a place where it's held. So he had to use those grates. He had to use those things that are kind of odd. He's like, it's about as sci-fi as my Aunt Fanny's girdle, which is kind of crazy. But I love that they were just throwing ideas out there and they made it work. And they like put stuff. I mean, that grate is highly impractical, but I still like the idea of it. I like the look of it, and I like that it was just people throwing stuff out there, and they made a pretty cool looking movie.
And
But I
it
mean,
shows a sense of thoughtfulness on the filmmaker's part as well, because they didn't just think, oh, we need a torpedo. Okay, let's just make a torpedo case. They were like, if we're going to have a torpedo, we need to show this earlier in the film so that people know that this is what the torpedoes look like in the torpedo room, so that when we see the torpedo later, we know this is a torpedo, not some futuristic coffin.
yeah, and because that got blown up in the beginning of the film during the first attack.
Yeah,
Correct.
there was a scene in there where they were told to load the torpedoes, and you saw the guys lifting the grates off and loading some torpedoes. That's the equivalent of, Pirates of the Caribbean, where they're loading the
Oh,
cannons and doing, you have the guys below deck loading the cannons, loading everything into the guns, and you see them actually manually load these things, which you would think would be automated in the 23rd
yeah.
century. But
But you know what though? I think that familiarity makes it more accessible to most people because they can just sort of roll with that. Now, I think true hard sci-fi fans are like, why is that there? But as someone who doesn't care about that and they went to go see Ricardo Montalban, they're like, oh man, this is awesome. This is like a boat fight. This is great.
yeah, we can't go into the scientific accuracy of this thing. I studied nebulae at university, and they're not that dense. They look dense from a telescope, but in reality, it would be like, I think our atmosphere is more dense than what an actual nebula is like in terms of parts per square meter.
Oh, so is this like a sticky nebulae? Did they have to add a word in front of it to uber
Um,
dense? Like
Not really.
you know,
They just made it up. Not many people know that. So
and I love that certain things worked and certain things didn't inside of that. Like for the shields don't work, but then this works. And but you know what?
and they
Like
never had to explain why.
exactly. But all you have to do is explain it. Like that's
They just say, in here, our shields don't work and our sensors don't work, so we're flying blind. But so are they. Great.
yeah. And like let's level. Like the whole movie is about leveling the odds, and I love that. And you know what though? When you were making a movie, I know that sci-fi, like Star Trek films, have really been analyzed in regards to like their continuity and their realism. But I also think it takes place in that world that have those. Like they so as long as they can just be like, listen, we're down on this here, but so will they. Like that's all you need in a movie. And then people can roll with it. Like just explain it really quick. Like I love how much exposition the pilot of Khan's ship has to do. Like that guy does some heavy lifting in this film when he's just like talking about like, hey, we don't need to go in there. The Reliant, like, why don't we just go somewhere else? If we go in here, we'll lose this. I told you that. He's just man, that's kind of a bummer because I feel like Khan kept all of them alive, but now he's gonna get them all killed. So it's kind of tough, right? Niall, if you have a guy
But
who
at the
led
same
you,
time, these are all a bunch of guys who tried to take over the world and seized power in 40 countries simultaneously in the original episode.
that's
So
a good point.
they're not exactly good guys.
No, no. Even though he was the best of the tyrants, thing
Yes.
was. And the last one to be overthrown. I listened to a timeline of Khan. Jeez Louise. That guy had
Yeah,
had an
he
interesting
had
life.
an interesting time, which I'm sure has been retconned by various different ones. He's shown up in Into Darkness, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, because he's an iconic villain. And they kind of wasted him. He also showed up in the latest series of Strange New Worlds. There's a time travel timey-wimey thing, and there's a young Khan. They see
Ooh.
Khan as a kid in there, and there's a whole dilemma about would you kill Hitler? Would you kill Khan Singh?
Ooh. Is it a good episode?
It is a very good episode.
I
In
hear that
fact, all
show's
of Strange New
catching.
Worlds is excellent.
Yeah, I hear it's good. I need to watch. The more I'm embracing this show more as I watch these movies, and I'm liking the J.J. Abrams movies less and less. Like I feel like they handled Khan in Star Trek Into Darkness really poorly.
Oh, they did. They completely wasted him, and it felt completely unearned because you didn't have that space seed
Yeah,
to have that personal connection. It's just some guy they met who's a bit of a dick and is a genetically superior guy, but there isn't that backstory where Kirk is directly responsible for the reason Khan is malaised or upset, or his predicament is not because of something Kirk has done. It's because of whatever Admiral thought him out and put him to work designing super weapons or something. It's not got that personal aspect where Khan doesn't care about anything except getting Kirk.
that's it, and that's what makes it work. Like that's what leads to his demise. That hate, and also the sacrifice at the end of Kirk was kind of baloney because we've only spent 2 movies with him, and we know he's not going to die. So that whole scene, I mean, I guess it was well acted, but yeah, I don't know. The more I think about Into Darkness, the less I like it now, having watched Khan.
Again, that's another fake out to change the expectations of longtime fans who have seen some kind of rhyming with the events that have happened in the previous movies. So you need Khan to kind of kill someone important, but it's fixed 5 minutes later.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't feel earned. It's not like in Wrath of Khan where it definitively ends where you don't know if Spock is, well, you think Spock's dead, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
just shows a coffin on a planet, which is just enough to leave the doorway open, but it could have just as easily been Spock is gone.
And I guess test audiences hated it, so they had him do the mind meld, remember me, and then he's on a planet where good things are happening. So hey, he could come back from that. But how about his speech though to him when he's just, oh man,
The
I was like,
needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few,
I
or the
have,
one.
I have been and always shall be your friend. You just, it's, they find emotion in there. It's pretty crazy. Like Nimoy and everyone's real. Shatner's really good in this movie.
He
He,
is.
a lot of people didn't want him to play old, and they're like, no, don't do that. It'll hurt your career. He's like, no, we need to have someone who's getting old. It makes the character more interesting. You're like, no one wants to see a 50 something year old guy acting like he's 20. Like these are important themes, but you can also still get your mojo back, which he does at the end. Like he finds a purpose. And I get that, fighting Khan brought him back from the doldrums and losing his
And
friend.
the thing is, in the original series, he was able to take Khan down in hand-to-hand combat
Yeah, with the little thing.
with a little, knowing his ship, he knew that where there was something he could grab to hit him with. Uh, Armed versus unarmed. Whereas in Wrath of Khan, they never actually share a scene together. All of it was over the communications array. And apparently it was really crap for Montalban because he had some script girl feeding him lines and he's there trying to be really intense and emotional. And then the script girl is saying, it's like, Khan, what do you want?
So Shatner couldn't even show up to do lines with him.
No. And I think that is pretty bad. I think it would have been, not that it detracted from the final product, but I would think at least that you would show up and run the lines with the person who's supposed to be responding to you for whatever you're saying.
I worked with, I did Shatner was at many Comic Cons I was at back in the day, so I guess I don't see him running lines. I'm just gonna put that out there on that.
I remember him being at, well, have you seen his Twitter? I think that kind of says a lot about his crustiness, which I think may have got worse with old age.
Oh no, I have not. Why is he out there being crusty?
He's very, very vocal on Twitter and prone to the block button when someone says something he doesn't agree to
Oh gosh.
or agree with.
Yeah, see, my Star Trek knowledge is lacking. It really is, and that's why it's been fun to tackle this. I know I
Well,
haven't
that's
watched the
why I
original
wanted to
show.
do this with you, because I thought it would be interesting for someone who doesn't have this depth of knowledge of every single episode of Star Trek, etc. Because those podcasts exist out there. There are tens, hundreds, thousands of Star Trek focused podcasts where people go into the minutiae of the Star Trek of the Star Trek. Whereas I think it's really interesting that we can look at them as films rather than look at them as just being Star Trek.
That's a lot of time to get caught up on everything Star Trek. So I'm just glad we're doing the
I
movies.
had a a good coming up on 40 years now, and I think I've watched pretty much all of it.
Oh wow. Someone asked me once, a company asked me to watch every single episode and movie and figure out who dies in each episode to see if the red shirts really die. And I added up the hours, I added up my time, I ended up buying everything, and the price I gave them was just insane. And I think they tried to drop it by about 80%. I was like, no, I'm not going to spend like hundreds and hundreds of hours watching stuff. So I almost went, if they would have paid me, I could have watched every episode of Star Trek, but my rate was too high.
Somebody else has done that, I'm sure. Well, I guess it might have been the same people who were trying to commission you found someone who was willing to do it.
Yeah. I mean, my problem is I have to go through it all. So there are sources, but I found that there's a lot of these lists. Everything Brad Pitt eats, they leave things out, or every Tom Cruise running scene, they've left out so many running scenes. So it's I don't draw from any of those. So any assignment I have, I start from scratch, and I pull all the timestamps, and I like do everything meticulously, and it takes a lot of time. And yeah, to watch everything and figure out who dies, they weren't going for it. That'd be pretty awesome if they actually went for that though. I'd have been happy, Niall. I'd been busy, but
You would have watched a lot of good content and a lot of very mediocre content.
what the TV shows, how would you rank them?
I would put Next Generation as my personal favorite, even though Deep Space Nine is objectively the best.
How come?
In terms of narrative structure and the way it went, it moved in a much more modern direction where it was serialized versus just having episode of the week.
Hmm.
There was character growth, and there were series long arcs where the story actually progressed versus essentially big event episodes, which is what you saw in Next Generation, where each one you could just watch and it doesn't matter if you've seen the previous episodes. Whereas in Deep Space Nine, towards the end, they actually moved to a big, massive, long arc. Um,
Oh,
and well, it makes sense that the guys who did that went on to make Battlestar Galactica.
what's the Scott Bakula
Um,
one?
that's Enterprise. That it got cancelled early, and the finale was awful and has been pilloried online. It was going in an interesting direction, though. I was a little bit disappointed when it was cancelled. I like Voyager. I can watch Voyager just in passing. I don't really need to pay too much attention to it. There's not too much. There are some very good episodes, and also some very, very bad episodes. And it's the same with the original series. There are some episodes which are excellent, Spacey being one of them, and there are some which are known to be awful. Spock's brain is the one that gets the most hate online,
What's that
where
one?
Spock has his brain replaced into a computer, and he's basically an idiot and says things like "me brain need."
Oh no.
It's pretty bad.
So no wonder he didn't want to come back, I guess.
Yeah, he felt he had done all that could be done with the Spock character, I think. And what it took was, I guess, this experience with Wrath of Khan for him to realize how much more depth there could be in Spock as a character, and where he could take Spock in the future if he was to come back.
I don't know where Nicholas Meyer found this inspiration, but when he took every element that the main players like from the scripts and combined them into one script to get win everyone's favor. Hey, what's your favorite part of this? I'll put it in. What's your favorite part? Okay. What's your
In the
favorite part?
space of a week.
Yeah, in the space of a week. So he took everything that people loved, wrote a script, people liked it, and then he further worked on it and came up with what they had. But that's such a smart thing for a young writer director to come in on, where like, what's your favorite part? Oh, you like the dying scene? I can do that. Okay, we're gonna do the old scene, we'll do that. Oh, you like this part? We'll keep that. Like, it's very I don't know, yeah, I guess he got his mojo back with this, but it was from some
Well,
very smart decisions on some people's parts.
we will be talking more about Mr. Meyer as we get to Star Trek 4 and Star Trek 6.
Uh-oh. Is that
Spoiler
bad?
alert.
Okay.
Which he wrote both of. And again, as I said, the trope is even numbered Star Treks are good, odd numbers are not. And it turns out that 2, 4, 6 were all written by Nicholas Meyer.
Really? And those
And
are the ones
those are
considered good.
the ones that are considered good. So we'll be talking a lot more about Nicholas Meyer as we move on.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, I think he just gets it. I think he's a guy who understands what people love about Star Trek. He seemed to really grow towards what people liked, and he just simplified the
Well, he was a
story.
first-time director as well. He'd never
Wow.
directed anything. And his friend said to him, "Well, if you're going to direct something." And his friend had a contact at Paramount, who was friends with what was the producer's name?
Bennett, Harv
Harv,
Bennett.
yeah, Harv Bennett, and said, "Oh well, my friend Harv is doing a Star Trek movie. Do you want to do that?" And there you go.
Wow. This must have been a very producer run movie though. Like, I know people liked what Meyer was doing, but he seemed more like if it's like TV, producers and showrunners have a lot of power on TV, and they bring in directors to maybe do 1, 2 episodes. So for Meyer as a first time director, hey, I have a really strong producer, we have a good script, and we have actors who like the script. Let's just guide this thing where it needs to go. And that sounds exactly like what he did. And that's kind of neat. Like, I like that. And I was looking at how much this movie made. So it only made 95 million, but it was more profitable than like the motion picture, because motion pictures budget was up in the 40s, right? And that made 139. So the return on investment on Wrath of Khan was much larger. So I think that's kind of neat. Like I like that.
Well, considering they were trolling the Paramount backlot and using corrugated cardboard
Yeah,
housings from fluorescent lights to make molds for bits of the scenery,
yeah,
they were cutting whatever they could. And yeah, they worked with ILM, who and did one of the first CGI sequences on film for the Genesis device. I remember watching that ILM documentary on Disney Plus, and they actually mentioned that they had done this for Wrath of Khan. They got the ILM guys in to do this computer graphic thing showing the Genesis device, which I guess in 1982 nobody would have seen anything like that,
mm-mm.
where you have this computer generated thing of a planet getting terraformed.
It looked great. Sorry. And here's the thing. What else I noticed too, like not only from ILM coming in creating amazing graphics, but like the movies that Meyer wrote actually made more money than the ones he didn't. So like The Voyage Home made 133 million. And then The Undiscovered Country 6 made 97 million. Wrath of Khan made 96 million. But then 3 and 5 only pulled in what 87 and 70. So were they that bad? And Nemesis only did 67. Are they that bad?
I will wait for you to watch
Okay.
them to
Okay.
see.
I'm excited.
In terms of quality, Wrath of Khan is essentially the first part of a trilogy.
Mm.
It's the Search for Spock kicks off right after Wrath of Khan. Voyage Home kicks off right after Search for Spock. It's almost an entirely continuous timeline. You can almost view them as a contiguous whole.
Oh, I'm excited. And
Final
I'm
Frontier is awful. Nemesis is very, very flawed as well. It's There's some interesting stuff. It's got Tom Hardy and stuff in it, which is interesting, but it's very flawed. And it broke the streak of even Star Trek's being good.
can I ask you about like so the first Star Trek that came out in '09, it was very human. It was sci-fi, but it was very ensemble driven and it was a lot of fun. So I think mainstream audiences could go kind of check it out and appreciate it. What about First Contact though? Like what's makes I know we'll talk about it, but like is First Contact does Wrath of Khan have anything in what's the word? Does it have anything similar to First Contact?
Um, it's another Ahab story.
Oh,
They
really?
they even quote Moby Dick. Someone even calls Picard Ahab.
Wow. So they learned that Ahab is good. And you know what?
They
Voyage Home has a whale,
There
right?
you go. Moby Dick means good Star Trek. I can't think of any whale references well, there is a little bit of an Ahaby kind of thing going on there as well. There's a little bit of a revenge angle played. It's an interesting one.
What do you think? Are we onto something here?
Maybe.
Oh, I love it. Hey, so I asked you earlier, what books so when they go into when they go to the wrong planet, first and foremost. Whoops. Like and also Khan's very lucky. Like a random captain shows up to his planet, and then Kirk just so happens to be bopping towards him. But you know what though? Who cares? Like it's perfect, and I love it. I adore it. But what books would you have? So if you get isolated in a planet and you have a bookshelf, I'm not going to make you name 18 books, but like what three would you take?
Well, I think my first one is actually perfect. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah, that's
Because if
great.
I'm on an unknown planet, I'm gonna need to know what it's about. I would
Yeah.
take the guide from the book, not even the book. I need my Hitchhiker's Guide and a towel. Um, the other two I would take would be Guards, which is Terry Pratchett. It's the first of the Watch books. Introduces characters like Sam Vimes, Carrot. It's a phenomenal piece of satire and eminently rereadable. And the other one I'd go with would be I, Robot by Asimov. Again, it's a collection of short stories, and there is zero action in it, and it's all about the philosophical nature of exploring how the three laws of robotics would affect certain situations. And it's fascinating.
Wow. I would walk in your room and be like, I like this guy. I would just take 3 copies of Infinite Jest.
Interesting.
So
In
then
case
someone,
one or two wear out.
in case I got to read it more than once, but imagine you're going in it and that's the only book a person has. You're like, oh no, red flags. No, but if I had to, I would take, what would I actually want to read a lot? The Hobbit. The Hobbit's infinitely rereadable. And then I would take Foucault's Pendulum because it's just so dense. And then I would just take Infinite Jest just to be that guy. Just lay it around. That's what I
think
would
we
do.
have very different thoughts as to what the Hobbit, actually. I did consider the Hobbit.
It's just so readable. Like there's something so nice about it. Like you want that when you're stuck on a horrible planet. And then Foucault's Pendulum. Have you ever read that by Umberto Eco?
No.
I read it when I was in Korea, when I was over there. And it's one of the densest books I've ever read in my life. And I love it. But yeah, it's
I'm reading something dense at the moment. It's like a Salman Rushdie thing. It's
how many
take
pages
on
do you read tonight?
Don Quixote. It's called Quichotte, and it's a take on a quixotic story, and it's very dense.
But that's great, right? Read 5 pages, get tired, go to sleep.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So hey, how about this? As a draft, I'm putting this on you right now. But let's do sequels that are better than their first film. So
Okay.
it's genuinely considered that Wrath of Khan is better than motion picture, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what other sequels do you consider to be, and it can be subjective as well, but what would you pick? So I'll let you have first pick.
There are some obvious ringers in here.
That's fine.
You can look at, I think the one I would go to first would be from Mr. Cameron, but I think I'm gonna take Aliens.
Aliens. Ooh,
which
that's a good,
which
oh,
which
man.
I love Alien, but Aliens I think is a superior all-round film. Completely different genre, but it's a phenomenal sequel.
Yeah, I agree. It's it's hard to compare them because they're so different, but they're both great.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna take Logan because
Oh yeah, that's a good pick.
I did not like X-Men Origins. I'm gonna be covering that in a couple months. And the other one, Wolverine's fine. It's cromulent, as Norbert Morvan would say. But then Logan comes out and you go, holy mackerel, this movie is crazy. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna take
Logan was excellent.
Yeah.
It's very, very good. I think another sequel that I don't want to stick to James Cameron, but
You gonna do Terminator 2?
I'm considering it. It's another one of those that is often thought to be better. I'm gonna go for Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love the Mad
As
Max movies, but the quality of Fury Road is just so insane.
yeah.
Well, speaking of driving movies, I'm gonna take Fast Five
Oh,
because
interesting.
listen, like I love Fast and Furious, but it's a Point Break remake. Fast Five, if you're talking about very simple stories, it's like let's get a gang together and let's rob a bank, and it's so effective. So yeah, I'm gonna take Fast Five.
Interesting.
Oh man, I hope you don't take this.
Some others that I'm considering. I don't know if I think The Godfather 2 is better than The Godfather 1.
Yeah, that's tough, right? I know
That's
I would take it because of De Niro, but I don't know. That's hard.
it's a tough one. I don't know if I would go for that. Um I'm gonna take something more recent. I'm gonna go for Thor Ragnarok.
Oh yeah.
Um Taika's first one,
What a
that just
delight.
balanced the comedy, that balanced everything. It was just so much fun.
And after Thor the Dark World, which is one of the most kind
Yeah.
of bluffs, like I don't think it's bad. It's just boring. It's not, nothing happens really in it. And the
Yes.
first one's fine, but it's just dude, awesome dude gets sent to Earth, loses powers,
Well, the
becomes
first one
awesome
is
again, gets his
Shakespeare in
powers.
the Park.
Yeah, exactly. But no, perfect pick. I'm gonna take Spider-Man 2
Oh, that's a good one.
because listen, I love Spider-Man. I adore it, but Spider-Man 2 is special. That's a special movie right there. So that's what I'm gonna take. Spider-Man. I feel good about that one.
Yeah, it's a good one. Um,
And you can take Wrath of Khan.
I can. Yeah, I'm gonna take Wrath of Khan. You know,
Okay.
being the Trekkie in the room.
I like it. Wrath of Khan. Well, okay. I'm gonna take Empire Strikes Back
Yeah,
because
that is a rather good sequel.
listen, you went for Aliens, so now I'm like, you know what? Like, it became so adult and so mature overnight, and it's just a great film. So yeah, I'm gonna take Empire Strikes Back.
And again, that's another one that's often held up as being one of the best sequels of all time. It's
I did it. I don't care. I'm going big.
um then I'm I'm tempted to go with Superman 2
Oh, that's a great flick.
because I love Superman 2, and I don't know if you've seen the Donner cut of Superman
I
2.
have not.
It's so I'm going to go Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut
Okay,
versus the the cinematic cut.
Richard Donner cut. Okay. So we have Aliens, Mad Max Fury Road, Thor Ragnarok, Wrath of Khan, Superman 2, Richard Donner cut, Logan, Fast 5, Spider-Man 2, Empire Strikes Back. And I need to think of, oh man, Hot Shots Part 2, but I don't even know how to quantify that. Let's see. Sequels that are better. How to Train Your Dragon 2. That one hits really hard.
Is that the one with like the giant island dragons, like the
Yeah, and the
massive
mom
ones? Yeah.
and the dad dies. It's just a heart crushing experience. Okay, I'm gonna get there. I'm not gonna pick any of the. I'm not gonna pick any of the Captain America films. There's so many. Scream 2, but I don't think that's better. I'm getting there.
Rocky.
Whoa, no, I don't know. Rocky 4 is great, but
I
Rocky
was
4 is
I was
incredible.
expecting you to go there.
Or like, I
I
think
was
Rocky
expecting you
Balboa is
to.
incredible.
Oh, that is an excellent film. But I don't know, is it better than the original Rocky? The original Rocky is very, very good.
Oh, I got a good one. I'm gonna go with The Devil's Rejects because House of a Thousand Corpses, I'm not a fan of. And I think The Devil's Rejects is really hard to watch, and we record an episode on it. But it's a good, like, Ebert hates horror films and he liked it. So it's such a jump in quality from House of a Thousand Corpses that I'm gonna take The Devil's Rejects.
Okay.
I feel good. That feels good. I
Yeah.
feel happy.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I think the last one I'm gonna go for I'm gonna go for Toy Story 3,
Oh,
which
that's evil.
that hit me in the feels
When they're holding hands.
when they're holding hands on the conveyor belt going in the fire. About I shouldn't be getting this teared up over an animated movie.
I remember I remember kind of I remember being annoyed by it. I'm like, are they giving up for death? Like, are they're dead, like they're giving up. Like they're gonna die. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. Perfect pick. All right. So I'm either gonna take Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. I don't think Batman Returns is better than Batman, even though I love it. So I'm gonna go really weird and just say Crank 2.
Oh, interesting.
Have you seen Crank 2 or Crank
I don't
1?
think so. I've seen Crank 1.
It's insane. It's one of the craziest
And
things I
then
think I've ever seen.
and then we got through this without having the Dark Knight, and we got through this without having because as has been noted, I believe on the Oppenheimer thing, I prefer Batman Begins.
I don't know.
So I couldn't pick it.
Dark Knight's fine. I like Batman Begins too. But I don't know. Dark Knight's good. I just like Burton's Batman better. I like Batman who are like legit psychotic and nuts.
You want to get nuts?
Yeah, you want
Let's
to
get nuts.
Oh man. Hey, so any thoughts about Wrath of Khan, or if none, where can people find you, Niall?
Yeah, I think if you've never watched a Star Trek film, Wrath of Khan might make you want to watch another one.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an excellent film in and it's itself. You don't need to know anything about the backstory or anything. It's well made, and yeah, it's worth a watch. And you can find me on all of the apps at El Nilo, spouting nonsense, posting pictures of my feet on Instagram if you're into that, and complaining about my rugby team on Twitter.
Is that why you get so many likes?
Obviously,
Your feet? You got some good looking feet, Niall.
hey, you got to follow to see them.
Patreon. But hey, this was awesome, man.
That's the bonus content.
Yeah, both feet. But yeah, man, this was awesome. So thank you for joining me.
Yeah, cheers.
All right, so for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Niall Moore, this is Movies from the Flicks. We'll see you next week.